Commander Jack Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, the Horizon's Edge. It was a normal day in space, or so he thought. His second officer, Claire Bennett, was checking the computer screens when something strange appeared. "Commander, we have ships coming out of nowhere," Claire said. Her voice sounded worried. "I don't know what they are. They're not sending any signals we can understand." Jack sat up straight in his chair. For 30 years, humans had been traveling through space. They had looked everywhere for other life. They had found nothing, until this moment. "Get ready for a fight," Jack said calmly. "But don't shoot first. Let's see what they want." The alien ships looked beautiful. They had smooth curves and seemed to glow in the starlight. They moved like water, not like the clunky human ships. But something about how they moved seemed careful, almost afraid. A voice suddenly filled the bridge. It sounded flat and strange, like a computer was translating words from another language. "Human ship, we are the Confederation of Advanced Civilizations. We come in peace. We need to talk to your leaders right away. This is very important for everyone in the galaxy." Jack looked at Claire. They were both thinking the same thing. This was bigger than anything they could handle alone. "We'll take you to Earth," Jack answered. "But if you try anything bad, we will fight back." "We understand," the alien voice said. "We promise we mean no harm. Actually, it's the opposite. We're here to beg for your mercy." Those last words made everyone on the bridge feel cold. Advanced aliens were begging humans for mercy. What could possibly make them so scared? A few hours later, the aliens arrived at Earth. President Helen Carter called an emergency meeting at the United Nations in Geneva. The big room was full of world leaders, military generals, and scientists. Dr. Paul Henderson was there too. He was Earth's top expert on alien life, even though he had never met an alien before today. The aliens who walked into the room looked almost human but different. Their leader said his name was Ambassador Kelrick. His skin glowed with soft blue light. His eyes were big and looked like an insect's eyes, but the rest of him seemed normal. "People of Earth," Kelrick started speaking. His translated voice echoed in the room. "We don't come as enemies or even as equals. We come as worried neighbors. We have been watching your species and we are very alarmed." President Carter leaned forward. "Alarmed? We've been alone in space until right now. What did we do that worries you?" Kelrick's skin changed colors. It looked like he was upset. "You have done everything," he said quietly. "In just 300 years since your Industrial Revolution, you went from simple steam engines to faster-than-light travel. Most species take thousands of years to do what you did in 3 centuries. You split the atom, figured out your own DNA, and created artificial intelligence. Your speed is something we've never seen before in all of galactic history. Is that a bad thing?" asked General Lisa Murphy. She was in charge of Earth's defense forces. "It is terrifying," Kelrick said honestly. "The Confederation has 47 different species. The youngest one joined us after 8,000 years of development. The oldest one took 23,000 years to reach the stars. You did it in 300 years. If you keep going this fast, in 200 years you'll have technology that took us millions of years to develop." The room exploded with noise. Everyone was talking at once. Dr. Henderson raised his hand to ask for quiet. "Ambassador, I'm confused. Shouldn't fast progress be a good thing? Don't all smart species want to make progress?" Kelrick's skin turned dark purple. "Progress is good, yes, but not this fast. Do you understand what you're doing? Every major war in galactic history started because a species advanced too quickly. They built weapons before they learned wisdom. They got power before they learned patience. Young species are dangerous. You are the youngest and fastest we have ever found." President Carter's face got hard. "Are you telling us to stop? To stop making progress?" "Yes," Kelrick said simply. "We are officially asking humanity to stop all research on quantum weapons, dimensional technology, and super-intelligent computers. We are asking you to slow down. Give yourselves time to grow up as a species before you accidentally destroy yourselves or hurt the rest of the galaxy." The room went crazy. Everyone was shouting. General Murphy jumped to her feet. "You have no right to tell us what we can study. We have every right to protect ourselves," Kelrick argued back. The Confederation voted together on this. Everyone agreed. "If humanity says no, we will have to think about containment." "Containment?" President Carter's voice was ice cold. "That sounds like a threat." "It's not a threat," Kelrick said. His skin was flashing red now. It looked like fear. "It's a request. We're begging you to understand the danger, not just to us but to yourselves. Please slow down before it's too late. Commander Morrison had been allowed to attend the meeting. He stood up. With respect, Ambassador, you're asking us to go against our nature. Humans have always pushed forward. We always try to improve and discover new things. You're asking us to stop being human. Kelrick's big eyes focused on Morrison. I am asking you to survive, and to let the rest of us survive with you. Will you at least think about our request? President Carter looked around the room. She saw anger, pride, fear, and defiance on everyone's faces. We will discuss your proposal, she said finally, but I can't promise anything. Humanity didn't crawl out of caves and reach the stars by standing still. As the meeting ended, everyone knew one thing for sure. The universe wasn't empty anymore, and humanity's place in it was much more complicated than anyone had thought. The aliens were scared of humans. They had come across the galaxy to beg humanity to slow down, but humans had never been good at doing what others told them to do. The question now was simple. Would humanity listen to the aliens' warning, or would they keep pushing forward no matter what? And if they kept going, what would the aliens do to stop them? The week after the aliens arrived was pure chaos. Every news channel talked about nothing else. Social media was full of arguments. People gathered outside government buildings all over the world. Some protesters held signs saying, "Keep moving forward." Others carried signs saying, "Listen to reason." Nobody could agree on what humanity should do. Under the city of Geneva, the World Council met in a secret room. They talked for days without stopping. President Carter was in charge of the meetings. Dr. Paul Henderson came to give science advice. Commander Jack Morrison spoke for the military. "They're scared of us," General Lisa Murphy said. She was walking back and forth in the room. "That means we have power. Why would we give that up?" "Because scared people do crazy things," argued Dr. Rebecca Walsh. She was the chief science advisor. "If we push too hard, they might attack us first. We're talking about 47 species against one. We can't win that fight." President Carter rubbed her head. She looked tired. "Ambassador Kelrick gave us documents about 3 other species that advanced too fast. The aliens locked them in their home systems for thousands of years. Do we want that for our children? What if they're lying?" suggested Director Frank Chen. He worked in intelligence. "What if this is a trick to keep us weak while they stay strong?" Dr. Henderson shook his head. "I looked at all their data. Their technology is good, but not way better than ours. If we keep growing at our current speed, we'll catch up to them in about 50 years. Then we'll pass them soon after. They're not lying about being worried. They really are afraid." "Good," General Murphy said. "Fear means respect. Fear also means violence," Commander Morrison said. Everyone turned to look at him. "I've spent 20 years protecting Earth and space. I know what happens when everyone is tense. Someone makes a mistake. Someone shoots. Then suddenly we're in a war that nobody wanted. If we say no to them completely, we need to be ready for what comes next." President Carter walked to the window. She looked out at the city. "The question isn't if we can say no. It's if we should say no. Dr. Henderson, tell me the truth. Are they right? Are we advancing too fast?" The scientist was quiet for a long time. "From a science point of view, our culture hasn't kept up with our technology. We're the same species that threw rocks at each other 10,000 years ago. We've had atomic bombs for 300 years. We've had artificial intelligence for 150 years. We've been lucky, Madam President. Very lucky. The aliens aren't wrong to worry. So you think we should agree?" General Murphy challenged him. "I think we should be smart," Henderson replied. "We don't have to stop advancing. We just need to advance differently." That idea changed everything. Over the next few days, they came up with a new plan. President Carter presented it to the Confederation. The meeting was broadcast to every human colony in space. Ambassador Kelrick sat with 6 other alien representatives. They faced the human delegation. Kelrick's skin was flashing with nervous colors as President Carter started talking. "Ambassador Kelrick, we thought carefully about your request," Carter said. "We understand your concerns. But we cannot and will not stop advancing. It goes against everything we are as a species." Kelrick's skin flashed dark red. "Then you refuse? You would risk everything because of pride?" "Let me finish," Carter said firmly. "We won't stop, but we will compromise. Humanity agrees to 3 things. First, we'll create a joint committee with the Confederation. Any research you think is dangerous will be reviewed by this committee. We'll listen to your concerns seriously. The aliens looked at each other. Kelrick's skin started changing from red to orange. Go on. Second, we'll open our research facilities to Confederation observers. You can have transparency. You can see exactly what we're working on. You can verify we're not building weapons to destroy everyone. And the third thing? Asked another ambassador. This one was from an insect-like species called the Cricks. President Carter smiled a little. Third, you help us. You've had millions of years to learn wisdom along with technology. Share that wisdom with us. Help us understand the right and wrong of our discoveries. Be teachers, not prison guards. The room went silent. The alien delegates huddled together. They talked in ways the translation devices couldn't pick up. Finally, Ambassador Kelrick turned back to the humans. This is not what we expected, he admitted. We thought you would refuse or attack us. You're offering partnership instead. We're offering a middle path, Commander Morrison said. You're afraid of what we might become. Help us become something better instead, Dr. Henderson added. Our species has a saying that goes like this: if you can't beat them, join them. Maybe the opposite is also true. If you can't contain us, guide us instead. The Confederation delegates talked for another hour. When they came back, Kelrick's skin was glowing soft green. Henderson's note said this might mean hope or relief. The Confederation will accept your proposal with 2 conditions of our own, Kelrick announced. First, humans must agree to stop weaponizing certain technologies until the committee says it's safe. We will give you a list. Agreed, but we need to see that list first, President Carter said. Second, we need human ships to stay away from certain areas of space. There are regions that contain dangerous things or ancient technology that even we don't fully understand. For everyone's safety, these must be off limits. General Murphy didn't like this, but President Carter raised her hand. We can agree to that. But as our partnership grows, we might need to talk about access to these regions again. Acceptable, Kelrick said. His skin was now bright gold. Then we have an agreement. The Confederation will share its knowledge with humanity. Humanity will temper its advancement with wisdom. Perhaps together we can avoid the tragedies that killed younger species in the past. As they signed the historic agreement, Commander Morrison turned to Dr. Henderson. Do you think this will work? He asked quietly. Henderson watched the aliens and humans shaking hands. I think we just avoided a war and gained knowledge from 47 civilizations. Whether we slow down or not, that's a win for humanity. And if we don't slow down? Morrison pressed. Henderson looked thoughtful. Then in a few generations, we'll be the ones other species fear. Let's hope we use that power more wisely than those who came before us. Everyone celebrated across human space, but not everyone was happy with the compromise. Some people saw the agreement as wisdom. Others saw it as weakness, and they were already planning to make sure humanity's advancement would not be controlled by anyone, alien or otherwise. In the shadows, plans were being made. Plans that would test whether humans and aliens could really trust each other. Plans that would determine if this new partnership would survive or collapse into war. 6 months passed since humans and aliens signed their agreement. On the surface, everything looked good. Joint research stations were built on Mars and Europa. Alien scientists worked next to human researchers. They shared millions of years of knowledge. Ambassador Kelrick lived on Earth now. He set up the Confederation Embassy in Singapore, but under the surface, problems were growing. Dr. Laura Price sat in her laboratory at the new Arizona colony. She stared at her quantum computer. The Oversight Committee had called her research dangerous. They ordered her to stop her experiments. 3 years of work gone, stopped by people who didn't understand what she was trying to achieve. Her colleague, Dr. Nathan Brooks, walked into the lab. He looked unhappy. They rejected our appeal. The committee says quantum weapons are off limits for at least 10 more years. Laura slammed her hand on the desk. 10 years. We're talking about defense systems that could protect entire colonies from asteroids or attacks. But because the aliens are nervous, we have to put human safety on hold. I know you're frustrated, Nathan said carefully. But the agreement was clear. We share our research. They share their concerns. Together we decide what's safe. Except we don't decide together, Laura said angrily. They decide and we obey. That's not partnership, Nathan. That's submission. She wasn't the only one who felt this way. All across human space, scientists and engineers were angry about the new rules. Some people just complained. Others decided to take action. On the moon, at a place called Armstrong Station, a group had been meeting in secret for months. They called themselves the Prometheus Initiative. The name came from an old Greek story about a titan who stole fire from the gods to give to humans. Their leader was Admiral Kyle Stevens. He used to be a decorated officer, but he was forced to retire early after he publicly criticized the alien agreement. "The aliens aren't our partners," Stevens told the 24 people in the secret meeting room. "They're our jailers. They use pretty words about wisdom and safety, but the truth is simple. They want to keep us weak because they know what we can become." Dr. Sophia Martinez nodded. She used to research weapons, but her projects were all shut down by the Oversight Committee. Next to her sat Captain Greg Turner. He commanded small ships that worked in the outer colonies where alien oversight was light. "What are you suggesting?" Turner asked. "We can't fight 47 alien species." "We don't need to fight them," Stevens replied. "We just need to make sure they can't stop us. I'm saying we continue the research they banned, but in secret. Out here in the frontier where they can't watch us closely." "That's treason," someone said. "That's survival," Stevens shot back. "Do you really think the aliens will honor this agreement forever? The moment we become too powerful, they'll find an excuse to lock us up properly. Better to be ready." Dr. Martinez leaned forward. "I've already gotten money from several corporations who hate the technology restrictions. They're willing to pay for secret research facilities. In exchange, they get access to what we develop." "Where would we do this?" someone asked. "Beyond Pluto and the Kuiper Belt," Martinez answered. "There are thousands of asteroids out there that nobody has mapped. We hollow out a few, build hidden labs, and continue our work. By the time anyone notices, we'll have technology that makes the aliens' concerns pointless." Over 3 months, the Prometheus Initiative moved from planning to action. They quietly moved resources around. They recruited scientists who agreed with them. They built facilities in the dark parts of the solar system. They weren't the only ones breaking the rules either. On Earth, Commander Jack Morrison was investigating strange things. Ships were disappearing from tracking systems for hours. Supplies were being sent to places that officially didn't exist. When he told General Murphy about his concerns, her answer surprised him. "Sometimes rules need to be broken for the greater good, Commander," she said carefully. "The Confederation means well, but they don't understand humanity. We've always succeeded by pushing limits, not accepting them." Morrison felt cold. "General, are you saying the military is involved in secret research?" "I'm saying that not everyone in leadership agreed with President Carter's compromise," Murphy replied. "Some of us are taking steps to make sure humanity isn't caught unprepared if the Confederation decides to use force." "That's exactly the kind of thinking that will start a war," Morrison protested. "Or prevent one," Murphy said. "The aliens are afraid of us, Jack. Fear is a weapon. We'd be fools not to use it." At the same time, at the Confederation Embassy, Ambassador Kelrick was getting reports that deeply worried him. The aliens had their own spies. They had detected signs of humanity's secret activities. "They're building weapons in secret," said Kelrick's aide, a Thalon named Varix. "Multiple sites all beyond where we can monitor." Kelrick's skin turned dark blue. "This is exactly what we feared." "The agreement was supposed to prevent this. Should we tell the human leadership?" Varix asked. The ambassador was quiet for a long time. "If we accuse them without proof, we damage the partnership. If we wait until we have proof, the weapons may already be finished. This is a delicate situation." Dr. Paul Henderson worked as the main connection between human and alien researchers. He was called to an emergency meeting with Kelrick. The ambassador's distress was obvious. His skin kept changing colors rapidly. "Dr. Henderson, I have been honest with you about our concerns," Kelrick began. "I ask that you be equally honest with me. Is your government doing secret weapons research that violates our agreement?" Henderson felt torn. He had heard rumors, but nothing solid. "Ambassador, I'm a scientist, not a spy. If such programs exist, I don't have clearance to know about them." "But you suspect they do exist," Kelrick pressed. "I suspect that some humans are unhappy with the restrictions," Henderson admitted carefully. "But that's not the same as knowing for sure." Kelrick's skin flashed red. "In 6 months you have confirmed our worst fears. Humanity cannot be trusted to control itself. Perhaps containment was the right idea all along." "Wait," Henderson said urgently. "If there are rogue people doing secret research, that doesn't represent all of humanity. Give President Carter a chance to deal with it." "And if she cannot?" Kelrick asked. "Or if she knows about it?" Henderson had no good answer. The situation was getting out of control. He could see the partnership between humanity and the Confederation starting to break apart before it really began. In the dark parts of the Kuiper Belt, Admiral Stevens watched as their first weapon powered up successfully. It was a quantum disruptor that could tear apart matter at the molecular level. It was far beyond anything the Confederation had. "How long until we have a full arsenal?" he asked Dr. Martinez. 2 years, maybe less, she replied. "And the aliens will never see it coming." Stevens smiled coldly. "Good. Let them think they've tamed humanity. We'll show them what happens when you try to cage a species that was born to be free." But neither Stevens nor the Confederation realized the real danger. It wasn't the weapons being built in secret. It was what would happen once trust was broken. Once trust was gone, it would be almost impossible to get back. Without trust, the partnership would become a Cold War. Both humanity and the Confederation would prepare for a fight that neither really wanted, but both felt was inevitable. The question was no longer whether humanity would stop advancing. It was whether anyone could stop humanity, even if they tried. And what would happen if they did try? The crisis started with a disaster that nobody expected. The research station on Titan exploded without warning. Titan was one of Saturn's moons. The station was run by both humans and aliens, studying how to make air for colonies. 300 people died instantly. Both humans and aliens were killed. Commander Jack Morrison was one of the dead. He had been visiting the station to investigate the strange supply movements he had been tracking. The explosion was so big that people could see it from Saturn's orbit. It looked like a small sun that appeared and then faded into the cold darkness of space. Within hours, the blaming started. "This was sabotage," Ambassador Kelrick said at an emergency meeting of the World Council. His skin was bright red, a color humans had learned meant barely controlled anger. "Our analysis of the debris shows a quantum disruptor was used, a weapon that humanity agreed not to develop." President Helen Carter stood to face him. Her face was pale with grief and anger. "And you just assume we did it? Maybe it was one of your own species trying to frame us so you'd have an excuse to end the partnership." The room exploded with shouting. General Lisa Murphy had to physically hold back 2 human delegates who tried to rush at the alien representatives. On the other side, several Confederation members were making aggressive gestures that the translation devices couldn't explain. Dr. Paul Henderson watched from the observation area. His heart felt heavy. Morrison had been his friend. Now his death was being used as ammunition in a fight that threatened to destroy everything they had built. "Enough." Dr. Rebecca Walsh's voice cut through the chaos. As chief science advisor, both sides respected her. "We don't know who did the Titan disaster, but if we turn on each other now, we guarantee that those deaths were just the beginning." "The evidence points to human weapons," said Varix, Kelrick's aide. "Weapons that shouldn't exist according to our agreement." "Evidence can be faked," said Director Frank Chen from Intelligence, "especially by species with millions of years of technology. How convenient that this happens just as some of your member worlds were questioning if the partnership was worth it." That accusation hung in the air like poison. Both sides stared at each other across a gap that seemed to grow wider every second. President Carter made a decision. "Ambassador Kelrick, I propose a joint investigation. Human and Confederation teams working together to find out what really happened. If we find proof of human involvement, I will personally make sure those responsible face justice. But if we find proof of alien involvement, I expect the same." Kelrick's skin flickered between red and blue. It showed his internal struggle. "Agreed," he said finally. "But until the investigation is done, the Confederation is stopping all technology transfers. We're also limiting human access to facilities we operate together." It was a nice way of saying, "We don't trust you anymore." And everyone in the room understood it. In the Kuiper Belt, Admiral Kyle Stevens heard about the Titan explosion with grim satisfaction. He hadn't caused it, but it helped his plans perfectly. "The aliens are showing their true colors," he told his followers at the Prometheus Initiative's main facility. "They're using a tragedy to take control and limit our freedom." "This is exactly what we warned would happen." Dr. Sophia Martinez looked worried. "Kyle, our quantum disruptor prototypes are still here. If it was our technology that destroyed Titan, someone else built it. Or the aliens are lying about the evidence," Stevens suggested. "Either way, it proves we were right to prepare. They were always going to turn on us eventually." Captain Greg Turner spoke from the back of the room. "Admiral, with respect, this changes things. If we continue our research now, it'll look like we're preparing for war." "We are preparing for war," Stevens said bluntly. It's coming whether we want it or not. The only question is if we'll be ready. But Turner wasn't the only one having second thoughts. Dr. Laura Price had joined the Prometheus Initiative because she was frustrated with rules. Now faced with actual war, she was reconsidering. "This isn't what I signed up for," she told Nathan Brooks. "I wanted to advance science, not start a war between species." "It might be too late to back out," Brooks warned. "If the investigation finds us, we could all be charged with treason." The investigation was moving slowly. The joint team was led by Dr. Walsh for the humans, and a Crick scientist named Chitrix for the Confederation. What they found raised more questions than answers. "The explosion started in the fusion reactor core," Chitrix explained. "Their insect-like face made them hard for humans to read emotionally. But the reactor was sabotaged first. Someone disabled the safety systems." "Could it have been an accident?" Walsh asked, though she already knew the answer. "Impossible," Chitrix replied. "The safety systems need 3 separate codes to disable. Someone with high-level access did this on purpose. Human or alien access." Walsh pressed. Chitrix made a clicking sound that might have been a sigh. "Either." Both sides had people with enough clearance. As the investigation continued, tensions got worse across human space. Protests turned violent in several cities. On Mars, a Confederation observer was attacked by an angry mob and badly hurt. In return, a human cargo ship was denied docking at a Confederation station. The crew was stranded for days. Ambassador Kelrick and President Carter held emergency talks, but neither side would back down. The aliens demanded proof that humanity wasn't developing banned weapons. The humans demanded an end to what they saw as unfair restrictions. "We are stuck," Kelrick told Carter during a private meeting. "My government is losing patience. Several member worlds are calling for immediate containment. And if you try to contain us, we'll fight," Carter replied. "We may not win, but we'll make you regret it." "Is that really what you want?" "What I want," Kelrick said tiredly. His skin was dull gray, showing exhaustion. "Is to have never met your species. You advance too fast. You trust too little. You fight too easily. You are everything we feared." Carter felt angry, but also something else. Understanding. "And you're everything we feared. Powerful. Talking down to us. Convinced you know what's best for everyone. Maybe we're both right to be afraid." That honest statement seemed to surprise Kelrick. His skin flickered with colors neither understood. "Then what do we do?" he asked quietly. "We find out who really destroyed Titan," Carter said. "And we make them pay for almost starting a war that neither of us wants." The breakthrough came from somewhere unexpected. Dr. Henderson had been working alone, studying communication logs from the weeks before the explosion. What he found made him immediately contact both Carter and Kelrick. "It wasn't either of you," he told them. He showed his findings on a screen. "Look at these encrypted messages. They're going to and from both human and Confederation sources, but they're using a communication system that neither of us officially has." "What are you saying?" Kelrick asked. "I'm saying there's a third party," Henderson explained. "Someone who wants humanity and the Confederation to go to war. And they're using technology from both sides to make it happen." Carter and Kelrick looked at each other. "Who?" they asked at the same time. Henderson pulled up another file. "That's the part you really won't like. The messages go back to the Prometheus Initiative, a human extremist group. But they're getting technical help from a Confederation faction that believes humanity should be destroyed, not contained." "That's impossible," Kelrick said. But his skin was turning pale blue with shock. No Confederation member would work with human terrorists, unless they believed it was the only way to convince their own people that humanity was too dangerous to live with. Henderson said seriously. "Kelrick, I need you to be honest. Are there people in the Confederation who want this partnership to fail?" The ambassador's silence said everything. President Carter stood up. "We need to move fast. If the extremists on both sides realize we know about them, they might do something even worse than Titan." "Agreed," Kelrick said. His skin was now determined orange. "Dr. Henderson, can you find these extremists?" "The human ones, yes," Henderson replied. "They're in the Kuiper Belt. As for your extremists, Ambassador, that's your job." As the unlikely allies began planning to stop the conspiracy together, Admiral Stevens was preparing his move. He had learned through his own spies that the investigation was getting close. Time was running out. "We speed up the timeline," he ordered. "Deploy every weapon we have. If they want a war, we'll give them one they can't ignore." The galaxy was about to learn something important. The most dangerous thing about humanity wasn't how fast they advanced. It was how they reacted when cornered. And right now, both humanity and the Confederation were being backed into corners by enemies within their own groups. The joint operation was something completely new. Human special forces worked side by side with Confederation tactical teams. They had never done anything like this before. Their target was the hidden facilities in the Kuiper Belt, where Admiral Kyle Stevens had been building his illegal weapons. Captain Greg Turner led the human forces. He had secretly contacted President Carter to expose the Prometheus Initiative. He felt it was the right thing to do. With him were Confederation soldiers called Varix warriors. They were known for being very precise in battle. Their commander was named Synth. Dr. Paul Henderson watched everything from the command ship called Endeavor. He had multiple screens showing him what was happening. Next to him, Ambassador Kelrick monitored the operation on the Confederation side. They were also catching their own extremists at the same time. "This is risky," Henderson said. "If either operation fails, we just proved we can't work together." "Then we cannot fail," Kelrick replied simply. His skin was determined orange. On the lead ship, Turner reviewed the plan one more time with his team and the alien soldiers. Synth spoke through a translation device. "Your Admiral Stevens will likely fight back," Synth observed. "Is your team ready to shoot at fellow humans?" Turner's face got tight. Stevens stopped being one of us when he decided starting a war was okay. "We'll do what's necessary." The attack began at dawn ship time. 3 facilities were hit at once. At the main base inside a huge asteroid called KBO 447, Stevens was in the control center when alarms started screaming. "We're being boarded," Dr. Sofia Martinez shouted. "Multiple ships, both human and alien." Stevens hit the console hard with his fist. "They found us faster than I thought. Turn on all defensive systems. Power up the disruptor weapons. If they want to fight, we'll show them what we built." But as the battle started, something unexpected happened. The joint forces weren't trying to destroy the facility. They were carefully disabling weapons and capturing people, not killing them. Turner's voice came over an open channel. "Admiral Stevens, this is Captain Greg Turner. Stand down. You're surrounded. There's no escape. Don't make this worse than it already is." "Traitor," Stevens yelled. "You're helping the aliens put humanity in a cage." "I'm stopping you from starting a war that will kill billions," Turner replied. "There's a difference. Last chance, Admiral. Surrender or we disable your facility with you still in it." For a long moment, Stevens stared at the screens. They showed the overwhelming force around them. Then Dr. Martinez spoke quietly beside him. "Kyle, it's over. We lost. But maybe that's not such a bad thing." Stevens turned to look at her, surprised. Martinez pointed to another screen showing news from across human space. "While we've been hiding here, the partnership has been working. They shared medical technology that already cured diseases we struggled with for centuries. Their engineers are helping us build better fusion reactors. Our scientists are teaching them things they never thought of. We're making each other better, Kyle. We were wrong." The Admiral looked around at his followers. He saw doubt on many faces. These weren't soldiers ready to die. They were scientists and engineers who followed him because they thought the Confederation was a threat. Now seeing real cooperation, that belief was falling apart. "Stand down," Stevens ordered quietly. "Power down all weapons. We surrender." The facility was secured without anyone dying. Within hours, the other 2 installations also surrendered. On the Confederation side, the extremist faction was arrested just as smoothly. The conspiracy that almost destroyed the partnership was over. 2 weeks later, a very different meeting happened at the United Nations. Admiral Stevens, Dr. Martinez, and the other Prometheus Initiative members sat waiting for trial. Across from them sat the Confederation extremists. One of them was a high-ranking Thalon official named Korath. He had been secretly working to sabotage the partnership. President Carter was in charge of what they called the Unity Tribunal. Both human and alien judges sat together to decide what would happen to those who tried to start a war. "Before we decide punishment," Carter said, "I want to understand why." "Admiral Stevens, why did you do this?" Stevens looked much older now. He took a long time before speaking. "Because I was afraid," he admitted. "Afraid that if we didn't stay ahead, we'd be victims. Afraid that the Confederation would betray us eventually. I let fear turn me into the very threat I was trying to prevent." Korath spoke through his translator. He was equally honest. "I believed humanity was too dangerous to live with. Your rapid advancement threatened the stability of the entire galaxy. I thought forcing a war now would be better than waiting for you to become unstoppable. I was wrong. You are dangerous, but not in the way I expected. Explain, Ambassador Kelrick said. You are dangerous because you change everything, Korath said. In 6 months, you challenged ideas my species held for thousands of years. You showed us that fast advancement doesn't have to lead to destruction if we cooperate. You made us question if our slow, careful way was wisdom or cowardice. That is scary in its own way, but it is not evil. Dr. Henderson stood to speak to the tribunal. If I may, I'd like to suggest something. These people made terrible choices, but they did so because both our species failed them. We failed to communicate clearly. We failed to build trust quickly. We let fear and suspicion grow. Yes, they should face consequences, but so should we. What are you suggesting? President Carter asked. A new approach, Henderson replied. Not just committees and joint research stations. Real integration. Programs where humans live on Confederation worlds and aliens live on ours. Mixed crews on ships exploring together. Children of both species learning side by side. Make the partnership so deep that extremism becomes impossible, because we're no longer separate peoples but one community. Ambassador Kelrick's skin went through a dozen colors before settling on soft green. That is far more extreme than anything we considered. It would change both our societies completely. Yes, Henderson agreed. It would. And that's exactly what we need. Humanity can't stop advancing. The Confederation can't stop being cautious. So let's combine those traits instead of letting them divide us. Imagine what we could do together if we truly trusted each other. The tribunal talked for 3 days. In the end, Stevens and his people were sentenced to 10 years of supervised research service. They would work alongside Confederation scientists on peaceful projects. Korath and the alien extremists got similar sentences. It was punishment that turned criminals into teachers. It forced them to participate in the very cooperation they tried to destroy. But more importantly, Henderson's idea was adopted. The Unity Integration Project started immediately. The first group of human students traveled to the Thalon homeworld. Alien students arrived at universities across Earth. Mixed crews were assigned to exploration ships going into unknown space. Dr. Laura Price found herself teaching quantum theory to a class of both humans and aliens on Mars. To her surprise, she discovered that the aliens' different view of physics led to breakthroughs she never would have achieved alone. Her students, working together, developed things she hadn't imagined. Captain Turner was given command of a new ship called the Concordia. It was the first ship designed by both human and Confederation engineers working together. Its crew was half human, half alien. The translation devices became unnecessary as crew members learned each other's languages. Friendships formed across species lines. 5 years after the Titan disaster, Ambassador Kelrick and President Carter stood together. They were at a ceremony for the completion of the first space station built by both species. It was positioned at a neutral point between human and Confederation space. It was called Hope Station. It would be the new headquarters for the partnership. I never thought we would reach this point, Kelrick admitted. His skin was peaceful blue. When we first came to Earth to beg you to stop advancing, I expected you to refuse or fight. Instead, you taught us something we should have learned long ago. What's that? Carter asked. That fear of the unknown is natural, but it shouldn't freeze us, Kelrick replied. You humans are terrifying in your ambition and your speed of change. But you are also generous in your willingness to share and learn. You showed us that fast advancement doesn't have to be reckless if done with partners rather than alone. Carter smiled. And you showed us that wisdom comes from experience. Sometimes the slow approach is the right one. Humanity has always pushed forward. But now we're doing it with friends who help us avoid mistakes. Dr. Henderson, now in charge of Hope Station, joined them. The first joint deep space mission launches next week, he said. A human Confederation crew exploring beyond the restricted regions. Together we're ready to face what's out there. Are we, though? Carter asked seriously. Henderson, tell me honestly, are we still advancing too fast? Henderson looked out at the station. He saw humans and aliens working side by side. He saw children of both species playing together in the observation deck. Madam President, we're advancing at exactly the right speed now, because we're advancing together. Far below on Earth, young students sat in classrooms learning from both human and alien teachers. They didn't see two separate species awkwardly cooperating. They saw one community with different backgrounds but shared goals. They were growing up in a galaxy where being different was a strength, not something.